The arena. The sky above the arena was dark, covered with thick clouds. Blue lights flashed across the walls. Thousands of aliens sat in seats that went up in circles. They shouted, cheered, and waited. In the center of the arena, a gate slowly opened. Heavy chains dragged on the ground. A human stepped out. His name was Rain. His body was covered in blood and dirt. He walked with a limp, but his eyes were sharp. There was no fear in him. Only silence. The crowd cheered louder. Some aliens threw things. Others made bets. To them, this was fun. Humans were captured from a dead planet. Now they were used for sport. A large beast entered from the other side. It was 10 feet tall with 4 arms and red eyes. It roared and hit the ground hard with its fists. Dust rose into the air. The announcer's voice echoed, "Today, the last human fights again. Will he die, or will he kill?" Rain did not react. He just looked at the beast. Then slowly he removed the metal piece covering his shoulder. It was broken anyway. From the high seats, a female alien named Vera watched him. She had blue skin, silver eyes, and a calm face. While others laughed and shouted, Vera said nothing. Her hands were tight on her seat. She had seen this human fight before, but this time, something felt different. The battle began. The beast rushed at Rain, swinging both fists. Rain jumped aside. He moved fast, rolling across the ground, picking up a broken spear. The beast roared and charged again. Rain ducked, stabbed the leg, and ran back. The crowd screamed in excitement. Rain was fast, smart, and brave, but the beast was strong. It caught Rain by the waist, lifted him high, and threw him to the ground. Rain didn't cry out. He got up slowly, blood dripping from his mouth. Vera leaned forward in her seat. Her heart beat faster. Rain picked up a sharp metal plate and waited. The beast came again. This time, Rain didn't move. At the last second, he dropped to one knee and stabbed the beast in the neck. It screamed in pain, swinging wildly. Rain climbed its back and used the metal plate to cut deep. After long minutes, the beast fell to its knees, and then to the ground. Silent. Rain stood over it, shaking. His body was cut, bleeding, and tired, but he was alive. He looked up at the crowd. No joy in his eyes, no smile, just emptiness. The crowd cheered louder than ever, but Vera felt something strange in her chest. This wasn't just a fight, this wasn't just a show. This was pain. This was survival. Rain was taken back to his cage below the arena. The walls were cold, and the air smelled like metal and old blood. He sat down and looked at his hands. Later that night, the hallway outside the cage lit up. Vera walked in slowly. Guards looked at her with confusion, but they didn't stop her. She came close to the bars. Rain looked at her with tired eyes. She spoke first. Her voice was soft. "Why didn't you kill it quickly?" Rain stared for a moment. Then he answered, "Because it was just hungry. Like me." Vera felt cold inside. She wanted to say something, but no words came. She looked at his wounds, the bruises, the scars. He had been fighting like this for weeks and maybe months. "You were not afraid," she said. Rain shook his head. "Fear left me long ago." She looked at him carefully. His face was rough, but his eyes were deep. There was something inside him that she didn't understand. Something strong. Something lost. "I watched your fight," she said. "You should be dead." "I should," he replied. There was silence between them. Only the sound of a small leak dripping from a pipe above. Finally, Vera said, "You fight like no other." Rain closed his eyes. "Because I have nothing left." She turned to leave, but before she walked away, she said, "You are not what they think you are." Rain opened his eyes again and looked at her. "Neither are you." Vera paused. That one sentence stayed in her mind as she walked away. Up above, in the arena, another fight began. But down below, something else had started. A small spark. A question. A feeling neither alien nor human had words for. Not yet. The humans' past darkness surrounded the cage. A single light above flickered like a dying star. The cold metal floor beneath Rain's feet held the blood of many fights, most not his. Oni sat in silence back against the wall, staring at nothing. But in his mind, there were screams, not of aliens, not of beasts, of children, of his wife and of fire. The next day, Vera came again. She was not allowed to. Her name was whispered in courtrooms now. The one who touched the human. But she didn't care. She brought food. Real food, not the dry black cubes they gave prisoners. A small fruit from her world, red and sweet. She stood outside the cage. Rain looked at her, then at the fruit. "I didn't come for your kindness," he said. "I didn't bring it for kindness," she replied. "I brought it for truth." Rain raised an eyebrow. "Truth tastes sweet on your planet?" Vera sat, on the ground outside the bars, eye level with him. "I've seen you fight," she said. "But no one fights like that unless they're already broken inside." Rain didn't speak. "I want to know your story," she said. "The real one." Rain laughed bitterly. "Aliens don't care about human stories, they only care how we die." "I care," she said. There was a pause. Something shifted in his face. Pain, rage, memory. And then slowly, he began to speak. "I was a soldier," he said. "But not the kind with medals. I wasn't born for war. I was born in a quiet town. I had a family. A daughter. Her name was Iris. She liked to draw stars." Vera listened closely. She had never heard a human speak this way. She had never imagined humans had daughters. Or dreams. Rain continued. "When the sky broke open, we thought it was a meteor storm. Then the warships came. Black, silent, full of light and death." He clenched his fists. They didn't talk. They didn't ask. They just burned. Whole cities vanished. People ran. We fought with what we had. Sticks against storms. He looked at her. "Was it your kind?" Vera shook her head. "No, not mine. But I know who did it." Rain stood up, pacing inside the cage now like a trapped storm. "We lasted 7 days. On the 8th, they found our shelter. I told Iris to hide. My wife gave me a gun with only 2 bullets. He stopped walking. I used one on them, and one on the fuel tank." Vera covered her mouth, her eyes wide. "I didn't want them to take her," he whispered. "Or my wife, or me. I wanted to end it," she spoke softly. "But you didn't die." Rain's face darkened. "No. They pulled me from the wreck, patched me up, and threw me in a ship like an animal." He sat back down, breathing hard. "I've been fighting ever since." There was silence between them now, but not empty silence. It was full of images, of screams, of fire, of a man who had nothing left to lose. Vera finally broke it. "You still remember her name?" "I will remember it until my last breath," he said. Iris, far above in a hidden chamber, a group of high-class aliens watched a screen. They had been listening. "He's dangerous," one said. "He's waking something in her," said another. "Kill him before it spreads." But another voice spoke. Calm, slow, powerful. "No, not yet. Let's see how deep this human's fire burns." Back in the prison tunnels, Vera stood up. "I want to help you," she said. Rain looked at her. "Why?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Because I think your fire might be the only light left in this broken galaxy." She left him then, left him with her fruit, left him with silence, but he did not eat it. He held it in his hand and whispered, "Iris would have liked this." That night, a shadow moved through the prison. A figure in black armor. Watching. Waiting. Rain didn't sleep. His hand rested on a sharp stone he had hidden under the floor panel. He had seen this kind of quiet before. It meant something worse was coming. And this time, he would not fight alone. Escape or die. The prison halls were too quiet. Rain knew quiet didn't mean peace. It meant something worse was coming. He sat in the corner of his cage, staring at the small red fruit left by Vera. He hadn't eaten it. Not yet. Maybe he didn't trust it. Maybe he didn't trust anything anymore. But his hand stayed near the sharp stone he had hidden under the floor. Then, footsteps. Not Vera's. He could tell by the sound. Heavy, armored, cold. A shadow passed the hallway, slow and steady, not a guard, a hunter. Rain stood, muscles tense. The figure stopped in front of the cage. A tall alien, black armor from head to toe, with glowing red slits for eyes. No words. Only silence. Rain narrowed his eyes. "You're not here to watch me." The alien raised a hand. A small dart flew from its wrist. Rain dodged, but too late. The dart scratched his shoulder. He staggered back, breathing hard. The poison worked fast. His vision blurred. He fell to one knee. But even as he fell, he smiled. Because he had bitten the inside of his cheek. His own blood would slow the poison. He had learned that in another cage, on another world. He would not die tonight, elsewhere. Vera ran through the archives. Her heart pounded. She wasn't a soldier. She was a diplomat, a learner, a daughter of science. But none of that mattered now. She had seen the order. Terminate the human. Quietly. Before infection spreads. She didn't understand what they meant by infection. But she knew they were afraid of something. Afraid of him. Afraid of hope. She rushed to the lower levels, pushing past guards. Her status barely protected her now. If they caught her helping him, she would lose everything. But she had already lost something worse. She had lost trust in her own people. Back in the cage, Rain's breath was shallow. He pressed his back against the wall. The poison burned his veins. The black-armored alien entered the cage, holding a long blade. Rain waited, then moved. Fast. Like a wild animal, he leapt forward, slashing the stone across the alien's neck. Sparks flew, metal skin, not flesh, a machine. Rain fell back. No use. He was too weak. The machine raised its blade, aimed for his chest. Bang. A loud shock wave echoed. The blade dropped. The machine staggered, then exploded from the back. Vera stood behind it, breathing hard, a stolen plasma gun in her hand. She rushed in. Rain was barely conscious. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. "You're welcome," she said. She pulled him up. His legs were heavy, but he could move. Vera had disabled the cameras. She had spent all night planning this. But there was one thing she hadn't planned. Rain was still willing to fight. They moved through the back tunnels of the prison. The alarms hadn't started yet. They had maybe 10 minutes. "There's a ship in the supply dock," Vera said. "I can fly it." "You trust me not to kill you and take it?" he asked. Vera looked at him. "Yes." Rain almost laughed. Almost. Then came the sirens. Too late. Someone had found the dead machine. "Run," Rain said. As they raced through, the hall's guards appeared, armed, angry. Rain pushed Vera behind cover and took a plasma rifle from the floor. He moved like a soldier, every step fast and clean. Vera watched him take down 3 guards with perfect aim. This wasn't just a survivor, this was a warrior. They reached the supply dock. The small ship stood ready, but blocked by a giant mech, a war machine 3 stories tall. The pilot activated it. Lights turned red. Cannons aimed down. Rain looked up. "Can you fly the ship?" "Yes," Vera said. "Then go." "What about you?" Rain turned to her, calm. "If I don't stop that thing, you won't get 2 seconds in the air." Before she could argue, he ran. The last fight. Rain charged toward the mech with nothing but a broken plasma rifle and a stolen grenade. It fired. The ground shook. He dodged left then right, sprinting under its legs. One wrong move and he'd be vaporized. He threw the grenade upward into the open panel beneath its chest. The explosion sent sparks flying, but it wasn't enough. The mech turned, fired, and Rain jumped onto its leg. He climbed fast like an insect. Up its side, burning his hands, dodging wires. He reached the head, punched through the panel, pulled wires with bare hands. The mech screamed, a metal howl, then fell, Rain with it. Vira screamed as he hit the ground, but somehow, he stood again, broken, bleeding, but standing. She dragged him into the ship, closed the door, took off. Explosions followed them into the sky. They flew into darkness. Inside the ship, Rain lay on the floor. His body was shaking. Vera knelt beside him, tears in her eyes. "You saved me." He opened one eye. "Don't get used to it." She smiled through her tears. Rain passed out. Vera looked down at his broken body. A human she barely knew. A warrior with no home. A man who had risked his life for hers. In that moment, something ancient and soft woke inside her. Not pity. Not duty. Something closer to love. Exile. The stars moved slowly through the ship's window. Quiet, peaceful, but inside the ship, there was no peace. Rain lay on the medical bed, unconscious. His body was wrapped in healing wraps, his chest rising and falling weakly. Each breath sounded like it might be his last. Vera sat beside him, hands trembling. She had stolen a ship, betrayed her people, and shot a military machine to save him. There was no going back now. She was no longer one of them. She was now in exile. 3 days passed. Rain woke up on the 4th. He blinked at the ceiling, confused. "Where?" "You're safe," Vera said softly. He turned his head. Her face was tired, but her eyes were warm. "You saved me again," he muttered. "Not for the last time," she replied. The ship was hiding in the rings of a dead moon, one of Vera's secret research sites. No signals, no satellites, no patrols. Rain tried to walk, fell, cursed, tried again. Vera helped him stand. "You heal fast. Too stubborn to die," he said. But something had changed in him. His voice was softer. Still rough, still guarded, but softer. They sat together in silence, watching the stars. Finally, Rain spoke. "You didn't have to come back." "I know," she replied. "Then why?" Vera didn't look at him. She stared at the stars and whispered, "Because I started to believe in you more than I believe in them." Back on the capital planet, the council was furious. "She's a traitor," one elder barked. "She freed the last human. She killed our security agents." "She didn't just free him," said another. "She chose him." They had tracked the stolen ship's last direction. But nothing after that. Still, the high speaker was calm. "She's not running," he said. "She's learning." The others looked confused. "She wants to know the truth," he continued. "Let her. The deeper she goes into the human story, the more dangerous she becomes. Then we kill them both." The high speaker smiled. "Not yet." Back on the moon, Vera showed Rain the research room. Data on humans, on the war, on the alien attacks. She had been collecting it secretly for years. "Why this?" Rain asked. "Why study humans when everyone else wanted us gone?" Vera paused. "Because something never made sense." She pulled up a video, blurry footage from the first days of Earth's fall. Alien ships fired on cities, but the humans didn't run. They fought. Old men, teenagers, families. They made barricades with cars, used stones against plasma, died standing. "I watched this 1,000 times," she said. "I was taught humans were violent animals, but animals don't fight like this for each other." She looked at him. "You were more united in your last hour than we have ever been." Rain said nothing, but he understood. They trained together. Rain, though weak, showed her how to fight like a human. Dirty, fast, unexpected. "Your people fight with rules," he told her. "We fight to win." Vera was fast, smarter than any soldier Rain had seen, but she lacked anger. You need fire, he said. You can't protect what you love without fire. What if I've never loved anything? She asked. Rain paused. Then maybe you're about to. Later that night, Vera stood by the window watching Rain sleep on the medical bed again. She remembered something her mother once said. You will know the value of something only when you are willing to lose everything for it. And now Vera understood. She had lost everything, her name, her home, her world. But maybe she had found something better. The next day, Rain found an old transmitter hidden in the lab, broken but fixable. You're trying to contact someone? Vera asked. Rain looked at her. I want answers. From who? Not who, he said. What? He adjusted the signal range, then he said a word Vera hadn't heard before. Project Fallen Star. She froze. What is that? Rain looked. Serious now? Very serious. It's what started the war. It's the reason Earth fell. It's what your leaders didn't want us to find. He looked at her. Your kind didn't destroy Earth alone. Vera took a step back. Rain's eyes burned. You need to decide something, Vera. She nodded slowly. What? He leaned forward. Are you ready to know the truth, even if it burns your whole world down? Blood and fire. The transmission was weak, but it worked. Rain's hands moved fast across the console, sweat running down his temple. The signal wasn't safe. It could be traced. But he didn't care. He needed the truth. Even if it burned everything. Behind him, beside him, Vera watched in silence. She had never seen this version of him before. Focused, calm, dangerous. Are you sure this signal won't expose us? She asked. Rain didn't look up. If they hear us, they'll come. Then why send it? He finally looked at her. Because some fires need to be answered with fire. Far away, in deep space. A lone ship received Rain's message. Inside was a woman with metal arms and half a human face. She watched the message replay on a flickering screen. This is Rain, survivor of Earth. If you still carry the mark of the fallen star, I need you. Come armed. The woman stood. Her eyes glowed red. She whispered, You finally woke up, soldier. She grabbed her rifle and set course for the dead moon. Back on the moon, Rain and Vera spent the next day preparing. He fixed old weapons. She studied the terrain. They practiced ambush drills and escape routes. Neither spoke of it, but they both felt the same thing. War was coming. Vera asked once, Do you think your message reached anyone? Rain answered without hesitation. If they're still alive, they'll come. Vera sat beside him. And if they don't? Rain looked at her, his eyes harder than steel. Then I'll fight with you. Alone is better than silent. That night, Rain woke suddenly, not from a dream, from the sound of metal touching stone. He rolled to the side, just as a blade sliced down where he had slept. 3 figures stood inside the ship. Dark armor, no faces, glowing blue weapons, kill squads. The council had found them. Rain grabbed his blade and lunged. The first attacker didn't expect such speed. Rain slashed across the neck and kicked the body toward the second. He shouted, Vera, move! She jumped from her chamber, firing a plasma bolt that struck the wall as the enemy ducked. One attacker pulled a shock grenade and threw it. Rain kicked it mid-air toward the ceiling. Boom. Dust fell. Lights flickered. Rain tackled the last soldier and punched until his mask shattered. After minutes, it was over. 3 bodies. Silence. Rain stood covered in blood, breathing like an animal. Vera was on the ground, wounded, her side cut. He rushed to her. You okay? She nodded, teeth clenched. Yes, but they found us. This place is no longer safe. Rain helped her up. Then we leave. They barely had time to power the ship before more signals came in. 6 enemy ships. Fast. Armed. Close. Vera gritted her teeth. Too many. Rain looked at the weapons panel. We'll fight anyway. He took the pilot seat. Vera manned the cannons. Ready? He asked. She smiled. I was born for knowledge, but I'll die for truth. The space battle began. Missiles flew, cannons fired. Rain flew like a ghost, unpredictable, sharp, impossible to lock. Vera fired, burst after burst. 2 enemy ships exploded in smoke and flame, but one broke through, hit them hard. The ship jolted. Systems failed. Lights blinked out. Vira screamed, "We're losing control." Rain looked around. "Then we crash with claws out." As they plummeted toward a nearby planet, alarms blared. "Brace for impact," he shouted. The ship slammed into the planet's surface. Desert, hot winds, fire across the sky. Darkness. Hours later, Rain opened his eyes. His arm was broken. He dragged himself out of the wreckage. Vera. No answer. Vera. He found her under metal panels, still breathing. He pulled her out, pain flashing through his body. She opened her eyes weakly. "You stayed," she whispered. He touched her face. "I'm not leaving you." Suddenly, shadows moved in the distance. Not council ships, not soldiers, a different kind of figure, one with a metal arm. The woman from before had arrived. She looked at Rain and nodded. Still breathing, still fighting, just like old times. Vera tried to stand. "Who is she?" Rain helped her up. "She's a ghost from my past, and the reason we may still have a future," the woman spoke. "Your message woke more than just me. There are others, hidden, watching, waiting. You sent a signal, Rain." Her eyes glowed brighter. "Now the fire is coming." The request wind howled across the red desert. The crash had shattered the ship and burned the ground for miles, but somehow they were still alive. Rain sat in silence on a broken wing, wrapping a torn cloth around his bleeding arm. Across from him, Vera rested against a rock, her head tilted toward the stars. She had seen death. She had tasted fear, but nothing shook her like what she was feeling now, something she didn't have a word for. Not in her language, not in any language. Rain spoke first. "How's your leg?" "Still attached," she said, weakly smiling. "You fight better than most humans I knew," he said. "That's the saddest compliment I've ever received." They both laughed softly, but the silence that followed was heavy, because something had changed. Not just in the war, not just in their path, in her. She had been raised in a society of logic, rank, and distance. Emotions were seen as distractions. Love was chemical. Children were assigned, not chosen. But now, everything inside her felt different. As the second sun began to rise, the woman with the metal arm, Sarah, stood watch at the edge of the camp. She was once part of Earth's last secret unit, Ghost Halo, a legend among soldiers. Rain approached. Her. "I didn't think you'd answer the call," he said. "I didn't answer it for you," she replied. "I answered it because the galaxy forgot what humans are. I came to remind them." Rain stared out across the red sky. "There's not many of us left." Sarah's face was stone. "Then it's time to plant new seeds." That night, Vera and Rain sat by a small fire made from old engine panels. "I've learned something," she said quietly. "What's that?" "That humans are not violent because they enjoy pain. They are violent because they love something so much, they'd burn the world to protect it." Rain looked into the fire. "We fought for family, for our children, for the idea that no one should live as a slave." She reached into her pocket, pulled out a small item, the red fruit from the arena, still wrapped, untouched. "You kept it?" Rain asked. She nodded. "It was the first thing I gave you, without fear." He smiled faintly. "What changed?" Vera looked him in the eyes. "Me." She stood and stepped closer. "I want to carry your child." The words hit like a lightning. "Strike." Rain blinked. "What?" Vera's voice didn't shake. She had made her choice. It wasn't just about attraction. It was about preservation, meaning, rebirth. I want to carry forward your fire, your strength, your soul. Rain stood now, wounded but taller than ever. You don't know what that means. I do, she said. My people build ships and laws, but yours build courage, and that must not die with you. He turned away. I've already lost a daughter. I can't. She stepped closer. But you can leave a legacy. He looked at her, torn in a way no battlefield ever had. He had seen comrades shot, burned, torn apart. But nothing hurt like this. Hope. Hope was more dangerous than any blade. Suddenly, alarms. Sarah's voice echoed from the rocks. They found us. 3 drop pods struck the ground around them. Council enforcers in black armor emerged. Fast, armed, silent. Rain grabbed his rifle. We'll finish this later. Vera pulled a blade. No, we finish it now. The battle was brutal. Sarah fired from high ground, her rifle melting enemy armor. Rain moved like a shadow, every shot a kill. Vera fought in silence, blades flashing with deadly skill, but then, an explosion. Sarah was hit. Thrown back, Rain ran to her side. She coughed blood. Don't stop, you know what we started, finish it. Then she smiled faintly. Make the galaxy afraid of humans again, and with that, she was gone. Rain knelt over her body. Grief and rage burned behind his eyes. Vera stood beside him, hand on his shoulder. She believed in you, she said. So do you. Rain replied. She nodded. And I always will. After burying Sarah under the red sand, Rain placed her gun on the grave like a flag. Then without a word he turned to Vera. If you still want to carry my child, we do it my way. She raised an eyebrow. And what's your way? He stared into the stars. Not as survivors, not as slaves, not in hiding. He looked at her, calm and fierce. We fight for a world they can be born into. Legacy of fire years past. The war didn't end quickly. It burned slowly, like a fuse. But somewhere in the dark corners of the galaxy, legends began to spread, not of kings, not of conquerors, but of a human and an alien who defied an empire. The child was born under a blood moon, in a quiet cave on a forgotten world. His eyes were gray like smoke. His skin was blue like Vera's. But in his cry, there was fire. Rain held him for the first time, trembling. He had fought beasts, armies, machines, but now he shook. Because in his hands was something worth surviving for. Vera leaned close, resting her head on Rain's shoulder. He has your eyes, she whispered. Rain smiled weakly. And your heart, he said. They named him Ash. But peace didn't last. The council learned of the child. They saw him not as a baby, but as a weapon, a threat to their order, a symbol of rebellion. So they sent everything. Armadas, hunters, judges. They wanted to erase the child before his name could be remembered. Rain, Vera, and a few scattered allies hid Ash across broken moons, dead stations, collapsed Earth colonies. Each place became a spark. Each spark became a flame. People began to rise. Old warriors came out of hiding. Even some aliens broke away, inspired by Vera's courage. It was no longer a story of a man and a woman. It was the story of what they stood for. One night, as a full fleet approached their hidden base, Rain stood before a mirror, aged and scarred. His beard was gray now, his body broken. But his eyes still burned. He placed Sarah's rifle on his back. Vera entered the room. It's time, she said. He turned to her. Keep him safe. Vera nodded. Rain knelt before Ash, now a boy of 6. He took the boy's hand. No matter what happens, you remember one thing. Ash tilted his head. What? Rain smiled. You are human, and that means you never give up. The final stand began. The council's forces landed like rain. black ships blotting out the sky. Rain and a handful of fighters held the entrance to the mountain base. Inside, Vera activated the escape vessel with Ash and 2 loyal guardians. Rain watched the launch from afar, heart heavy but proud. Then he turned to the battlefield. "I was born in a cage," he said. "I die on my feet." He raised his rifle. The last battle began. Hours passed. Smoke choked the sky. Bodies lay in silence. Rain was the last man standing, bleeding, burned, broken, surrounded. The council commander stepped forward. "You fought well," he said coldly. "But you are only one man." Rain coughed, spitting blood. "That's what you never understood." He looked to the sky and smiled. "One man is enough to light 1,000 fires." He triggered the explosive core beneath his feet. Theo, mountain roared. Years later, the council fell. Not in that moment, but slowly. Like a dying shadow, the galaxy changed, not from power, from memory. Ash grew in silence, hidden but watched over. He was trained in both his parents' ways, the mind of Vera, the fire of Rain, and then a new day. Ash stood before a crowd on a free world, aliens and humans side by side. He spoke into a simple mic. "My father was the last human warrior," he said. "He died so I could live. But I am not just his son. I am the bridge between what was and what can be. I carry his blood and her heart, and I swear to you all, this time we rise together." The crowd roared. Above them, the first new flag of unity waved. Not a human flag, not an alien one, a symbol of both. Final scene. In the ashes of the mountain, buried deep beneath stone and steel, a single item remained untouched, a red fruit. Perfect. Preserved. Waiting. Because some seeds don't die in fire, they become it. The end.